So Barry asked the number one question, in my opinion, the potable water situation. So you have to pay for it. Supposedly it's Mexican law that even the tiniest little town has to have aqua purification, which means drinking water. On an average, we would fill about 18 to 20 gallons of drinking water when all of our containers were empty. And on average, it would cost us about $3.50 to maybe a little over $4 for all that water. So it's actually pretty cheap. The only thing that really surprised me is that I have my 60-gallon bladder that I like to transfer water from the back of my truck to the trailer, and I couldn't use it. So if you're in an RV, and some places did have hoses that they would allow you to string, and like Jim and Rita, that's the only way they can fill their trailer is with a hose. They cannot use a jug like we can on our Baja trailer. So if they don't have a hose and that's the only way you can fill your trailer, they actually had to go to several places finally to get a hose. And speaking of hoses, I have good water drinking hoses, and they would not allow me to use them. I think it's a safety thing to keep their water clean and fresh. And so keep that in mind. Bring portable jugs. And again, use iOverlander, read the reviews, because some of them said, yes, they do fill RVs. Some places don't. So that's the answer for our potable drinking water. John asked, how were the fine Mexican roads? And, you know, I actually were expecting them to be worse, but they are not great. They're narrow. They have a lot of potholes in them in certain sections. So if you're pulling a trailer, I'm going to say right now, our average speed was 50 miles an hour. If I got over that, it was pretty exciting. You just have to take it slow, especially pulling a trailer. The people down here, I'll say, they're very impatient drivers. So these narrow roads and how they pass and where they pass is a little bit scary. So we always kept it between 40 and 50, and so far we've had 0 incidents. And then George asked fuel. Very great question, because that was really one of the biggest questions on my mind. We have a Toyota Tundra. It does not get the best gas mileage. I have a 38-gallon gas tank. We've never gotten in a situation, but I pretended when I got down to a half a tank that I was really down to a quarter tank left. That's how I always reacted. So on the fuel part, it's like Oregon. You cannot pump your fuel. They will always pump it for you. Get out of your truck, ask them if they take Visa, if you want to pay. Now, even if they say they do, be prepared. Have plenty, I cannot emphasize this enough, plenty of pesos, because even though you give them your credit card, their machines here suck. I think there was twice with, oh yeah, we take Visa, and they could not get it to work, and we ended up having to pay in pesos. Now, we never got in a situation not having enough pesos, but again, it's like the States. You just hand your debit card, your credit card, no problem. Always, always have pesos and ask. And every single time, if you pass a gas station, there was times I still had 3/4 of a tank and I stopped to top off. Act that way and you will never have a problem running out of fuel. Kevin asked, how long did you drive on an average? Well, because of the roads not being so great and pulling a trailer, and the first time in Baja, 2 to 3 hours was about max. And my great navigator behind the camera always had iOverlanders, camping spots 2 to 3 hours away. So even if we went maybe just 2 hours and decided to go, you know what, we can go another hour, she had another spot that we could go in. So But of course, we had 3 months to do this. So again, that's kind of an open-ended question. If you have all the time in the world, why not only drive 2 or 3 hours a day and save yourself the stress and the backache and all that? So that answers Kevin's question. Just take your time if you can and enjoy the Baja. Okay, so part 2 of E.A. Foster's question was, how did we repair on the road major damage? Well, we really didn't have any. We had one incident that we're going to classify as major damage, but it was nothing. And it was actually on Jim's Serenity van, which is a beautiful custom van. And actually it happened in the first 5 days of our trip when we were in San Felipe. He was pulling out and there was this weird grate on the road and his tire kind of kicked it up and caught his step and more or less twisted his step off his van to the point where he had to take it off. So this is it. There should be a step right here with, actually it has a motor, so when you open up the door, the step kicks out. Well, as you can see, there's no longer no step here. And Jim had all the right tools, but he needed a 9/16 deep socket, which I had, but he had all the right tools, so we did not have any major damage. But Jim brought a 20-ton jack. We brought blocks. We bought tire repair kits. We have air compressors. Trying to think of what else for kind of major. Knock on wood again, no flat tires on this entire trip so far, which is actually very surprising.
Everything that we needed in case we had one. We had big extensions.
Oh yes.
Deep sockets, flex handle to get the big lug nuts off. We had all that. Sockets, wrenches, never leave home without a crescent wrench. Anyway, between the two of us, we had enough to get that step off.
Right,
so
right.
I had to borrow a 9/16 deep socket to get the last bolt off. So between the two of us, we just donated the metal and rewired everything back underneath, so we didn't have a light issue, and we're all good.
Yeah, it was good. So yeah, I feel very fortunate that there was not any major repair needed. But you always got to be prepared. And hopefully you don't want to bring too much stuff, but yet you don't want to cut yourself short. And we just got a couple days left, and so far we're going to make it. Well, everybody, that concludes our Q&A on the Baja. Hopefully I answered all your questions. If you have more questions or I happen to forget one, just leave them in the comments down below and I will get to those as soon as I can. Highly recommend doing this Baja trip. It was fantastic. We were already planning the next time we go, probably here in the next couple years, before we even left the Baja. That's how great this trip was. We do have some news here on RV Outdoors Northwest. Brenda and I actually got a camp hosting job at Lake Cochise, which is in Ellensburg, Roslyn area in Washington State. And we are actually going to be stationary for the first time in 2 years since retiring. And we're pretty excited about just being in one spot for about almost 4 months. We're going to be camping in our big ORV trailer and meeting all kinds of people and just kind of being stationary and working on the property on our days off. So we're actually pretty excited about that. And again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and we will see you very soon.